What's cracking with people? Anansi here, and welcome to a new project channel, Sonic Riders. Loading save data. What's going on here? So, yeah, let's see here. So, that's right, I did do that, didn't I? Okay, so yeah, this is a new series on the channel. It's Sonic Riders, and it is one of, if not the more underrated, racing games I've ever played, with a pretty complicated history. We'll get into that as we go through the game. It's not a very long one. As you can tell, it was done in 2006. This came out at the same time that Sonic the Hedgehog 2006 came out for the Xbox 360. Sonic Riders was released for the original Xbox, PlayStation 2, and I believe the GameCube. I will be playing this on the original Xbox version. So without further ado, let's just jump into it and hit start. So we got a couple of modes here, not all of which I have played. But I have, essentially beaten the game more times than I can count. You have your shop where you can buy, extra gears and whatnot. I have not bought all the gears in my time I played. I think I have not played this game in quite a long time. But you have a lot of the different kind of what they call extreme gears, basically your surfboards of the game, as you can work with. Not your surfboard, basically your carts, as it were. This is Sonic's attempt at a racer. You have your normal race, which is literally just, how you essentially just play multiplayer. Some is just single track, some is just an entire event, and then you have your story mode. Apparently, you got two stories: Heroes and Babylon. Today we're going to start off with Heroes, so let's get into it, shall we?
I think the signal's coming from around here. That's really weird. It looks like something's jamming the radar signal.
There! What's that?
Sonic! The emerald's over there!
All right! Now we're talking!
Shoot!
Oh, not bad! What the? So, you're supposed to be the fastest thing alive? Oh, new competition! Eggman!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome everyone! I hope you're all ready for a show. We've got an exciting event just for you! Since you all seem so bored, I've put together a little extra something to spice things up. I call it the X World Grand Prix, a tournament to see who's the best of the best with extreme gear. Not just a race, but a special race to see who's the fastest. And these races are no holds barred. All contestants pay a simple entry fee of 1 Chaos Emerald, and the winner takes it all. So, let's see who among you dares to meet this challenge.
Eggman again! Just what is he up to this time?
And there's more. Before I forget, I'll present the current contestants. These players, they're hot. The best racers I could find.
Hey, that's... the X World Grand Prix, huh? Let's do this!
Finished within the top 3. So yeah, pretty straightforward.
The race to prove who's the best begins now.
So with regards to Sonic Riders, I love how they have Sonic Adventure on the board there. So with regards to Sonic Riders, right, you have a very different way of essentially playing a racer. It is a Sonic's answer to Mario's what's the one before here? To Mario's to Mario Kart. And in my opinion, it's one of the better racers with a few drawbacks. And we'll get to them as we go through it. But this, as you can tell from the opening cutscene you can tell from the opening cutscene and from the opening cinematic, this is going to be a more playful adventure compared to Sonic's previous outings. You can kind of tell it's a little bit rusty at this, but you know, we'll work with it. The thing to remember with Sonic Riders is that you're essentially showing off. You have plenty of shortcuts and whatnot, and but you have ways of making do. Unlike Mario Kart, you have you actually have a fuel setting, believe it or not. As you saw earlier, I kind of ran out of something called air. Well, when we're not at air, you're not able to keep up with your opponents. You have to either do tricks or use checkpoints to refuel it, or do these mini games if you go that way to refuel your air. It is actually a more skill-based racer compared to Mario Kart. At least that's my opinion on it anyway, because it requires you to manage your air intake and make use of shortcuts, character-specific shortcuts, which you're seeing a couple of them as we go through, as well as other tricks that you can use, like I'm gonna shut off a second. I get into it straight away because we're about to finish the race here. As well as other tricks that can disorient your opponent and use to your advantage to catch up to them. It's not a bad. It's not a bad system as long as you remember to show off every once in a while. You can very easily do it. The problem with it is, and if you want a more succinct opinion on some of the problems with Sonic Riders, I highly recommend looking up a YouTuber by the name of Some Call Me Johnny. He did a series on Sonic Racers, and he did an entire episode dedicated to Sonic Riders and his 2 sequels that succinctly summarize a lot of problems with Sonic Riders that held it back from, in my opinion, this is just me personally, they held it back from potentially knocking Mario Kart off his throne as the quintessential kart racer. And I've gone on record multiple times saying that I prefer a couple other kart races in Mario Kart. Now I still play Mario Kart. I don't mind it, but in my opinion, Sonic Riders and Jak X were much better racers. That if they had continued, or if Sonic Riders had done a few key things differently, it would have lasted a lot longer. Anyway, let's continue, shall we?
Yeah, but what exactly is Eggman really after?
Ah, it can't be anything too important.
Hey, Sonic!
Huh? Amy? Don't tell me you've signed up too!
Of course, it really looks exciting and fun. Why wouldn't I join? And besides, this way, I'll be able to keep my eyes on you.
Ugh. Tails?
That mark.
Mark?
Uh-huh. I think it was on the boards of those guys we ran into in Future City. Babylon.
Babylon?
Yes, the mark of the Babylon rogues. A long time ago, there was a floating island known as Babylon Garden. Supposedly, robbers lived there. According to rumors, this legendary band, the Babylon Rogues, were great thieves. Legend also says that the Babylon Rogues incurred the wrath of the gods because of their crimes, and that the island was cast into the depths of the earth. After that, supposedly the Babylonians were then scattered for all time, never to be found. But they say that the Babylon Rogues' treasure still remains on that island, waiting to be discovered. There are also rumors that the Babylon Rogues were extreme gear specialists.
Still, how can a plank like that just float?
That's easy to explain. According to the Kutta-Joukowski lift theorem, the control surface flow is balanced by the inverse kinetics of the...
Stop! I get it, okay? It just floats, and that's good enough for me. Huh?
Sorry, but it's just too funny. Huh? That gear's unusual.
Customized it myself.
Well, I never imagined anyone would enter the race with such a piece of junk. Thanks, though. It was good for a laugh. See ya, Shorty.
Oh, that girl! Who does she think she is?
Yeah, how can she just walk in and diss Tails?
I know, and tinkering's all he's really good at, too.
The next race is about to begin. Please come to the gate, participants.
Ooh, what a burn on Tails. Finishing the top 3 again. Yeah, but yeah, I recommend looking up some contract because he does bring up a lot of valid points. Like, for instance, the barrier for entry on the story mode, there is a tutorial in Sonic Riders, but it's not built into the gameplay. And as you can tell, the Sonic Riders has a very different I messed that up. You have to be really on your guard on your game for that shortcut. But as you can tell, a lot of racing games have this hidden boost to start feature. With Jak X, I think you have to hit the accelerator and the boost button at the exact same time in order for that to work. In Mario Kart, you just gotta hit the boost accelerator and work in Jak X at the moment of impact, at the moment of the start of the race. With Mario Kart, you just have to hold down the boost button at the right moment, and then you get a boost. With Sonic Riders, your start boost, you actually have to work for it. You can't just hold it down. You can't just still not getting it just right. We used to know that shortcut from the back of my hand. But you can't just, go into it and be like, okay, we got it. No, you actually have to get the timing just right in order to get the best boost possible, and I do appreciate that because you can't. Because it means that you have to actively work for it. Another thing that Sonic Riders does differently, that Mario Kart doesn't do, and I think something that that to some extent Jack X did, is leveling up your racer. You have, as you can tell, a level 1, level 2, level 3. You get level ups every 30 rings you collect. And every time you get a level up, you get an increase in your air supply. And a slight boost to your stats. Actually, if you look on the corner of the screen when I do, and I meant to point it out, you actually see what stats upgrade. And these stats are unique, I believe, to each character. Going off of that, it also works in the mechanic from Sonic Heroes. I believe the mainline platformer that released prior to Sonic the Hedgehog 2006, the game that a lot of people like to pretend didn't happen, but it did because it did. Where you have your speed type, your flight type, and your power type. As you can see earlier, depending on what type you use, is what okay, so depending on what character you're using, what type they are, that dictates what shortcut you can take advantage of. As long as the speed type, so he takes advantage of grinding rails. Tails is the flight type, so he takes advantage of, flight rings that were, I believe, popularized in Sonic Adventure 2. They were mostly as boosters, but when you used them as tails, it increased your flight time. Power types, like Knuckles, have a specific gimmick to them, which we will also go into, I believe, in this next race.
It's you!
I'll make sure to pay you back for this!
Ha! I let you get away last time, but definitely not today!
Why wait till later, you little punk? I'll pay you back tenfold now!
Huh. Sorry.
What are you doing, you clumsy fool? Was that supposed to be some kind of punch?
Nice try, buddy!
Sorry there. It wasn't my fault. If he hadn't jumped out of the way just now, I would have clobbered.
What?
The race is about to start. All participants, please get to your positions now.
The track, then! We'll settle this there!
Looking forward to it.
Defeat Storm, finishes first place. Now this is where the game gets hard, and I argued that this is what the problems with its lack of built-in tutorial happens. Because no one actively chooses to play the tutorial if they can help it. As a matter of fact, people will try to skip the tutorial first chance they get. Now, with regards to Knuckles, I think it's the booster that I could use, but it is what it is. With regards to Knuckles, Knuckles is a power type character. What does this mean? Well, this pretty much means that throughout the course, power type characters will have obstacles on the course that they and they alone are the only ones who are able to make use of by punching them out the way. For instance, if I go this way, boom. It allows me to essentially boost through. It allows me to retain my boost and not to worry about anything in my way. But power characters are much slower than regular characters, than other characters. I believe it's speed, flight, and power in terms of their acceleration and their top speed. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, what if I want to use all three shortcuts? Well, there is a way to do that. There actually is a way to do that. It requires using specific gears. That's where your different gears come into play. And you can only use the different gears outside of story mode. You can't use them within story mode. You're stuck to the character's canonical boards for story mode. So depending on what boards you use, depending on what boards you use, you have the ability to mess that up. There's a 100 ring thing there, and I think I just lost it there, didn't I? Yes, I did. Okay, so you have to be careful because if you lose your rings, you lose your upgrade. Place. But yes, it is a relatively straightforward thing. Depending on what other boards you use, you can actually be able to have access to other skills. Let's say you're a power character and you have a board that lets you grind on rails. Well, you can still grind on rails. But now you have, well, you can still punch through walls. Now you have a board that lets you grind on rails. You can use the 2 shortcuts. There is a singular gear that lets you use all 3 of them, but it is unwieldy and hard to control. I think that's the trade-off. You can use all the shortcuts, but you're not going to have the time. And that's pretty much it in terms of mechanics. There are a couple other ones, like if you hit both triggers, you can expend some air to do a turbulence move that stops people riding in your wake from following you closely. You have your drift mechanic that if you do it just right and don't focus it in walls, it gives you a boost when you come out the drifts, much like Mario Kart does. And that's the tie between Mario Kart and Jackass. I would lean more towards Jackass. You get to be real skillful about it. And there are a couple others we're going to go through as the game goes on. And yeah. So yeah, you have to beat Storm by coming in first place. You can't just come ahead of him in the rankings. You have to beat him in first place. And if you have a solid foundation of a lot of the mechanics, it's going to be trouble. I want to try to get to it, so we're going to try to get to it right now before we go into the next episode. But the thing to keep in mind is air management, conservative use of boosts, and making use of shortcuts. With regards to speed characters, if you want to use the grind rails, you have to jump off. You have to jump over the rail and then hit A again above the rails. You have to jump twice, and that will activate the grind rail. With flight characters, you go off a specific pad, but you have to remember that your flight controls are that of regular video game flight controls. Like if you played Star Fox Assault, up is down, down is up. You played any other flight games like Ace Combat or pretty much anything with a flight simulator, up is down and down is up. You keep that in mind, you can navigate through the checkpoints, no problem. Power characters are by far the easiest shortcuts to use. All you gotta do is just run into the wall and just punch through. That's all you gotta do. But most importantly, on top of that, is doing tricks. You may be asking, why would Sonic ever bother using a board when he is the fastest thing alive on his feet? There was that old Flash animation I saw years ago, I think from Sonic Paradox, that showed the opening cutscene where he gets mocked for being the fastest thing alive, and he just runs backwards, flipping the guy off while he's on his board, and he just doesn't care. But you gotta remember, this is the same company that owns Jet Set Radio, a game that was heavily influenced by late 90s or 2000s, graffiti and street culture. It's meant to be fun. This is more along the lines of like Dead or Alive Extreme. It's not meant to be anything like the main series games. It's just a harmless bit of fun with light story elements sprinkled into it. At any rate, we will get into that one in the next episode. I've been Anansi, you've been awesome, and I'll catch you later.